Mayor, you got another email. Take a look.
Right.
Dear Mayor, earlier this year, I opened a pet store in town, Forget Me Not. I'm sure you've seen it. I already have loyal customers for the pet basics that I currently sell. And I've got big plans to expand the
Oh, sorry, I thought I
store,
could make it
like adding an exotic fish section and maybe even a cat cafe. But my monthly expenses have put those plans on hold. Can you help me grow my money so I can grow my business? Mia.
All right.
Looks like a small business owner needs your help. Before we head over to Mia's pet store, let's see what you already know about growing money and a business.
So I think, I think I'm just going to skip these pre-questions and instead implement them at the end. I think it's just a little less kind of awkward that way. So I'm just going to kind of just click through here.
Here we are at Mia's pet store. As you can see, it's a little quiet in here.
For Mia.
In Mia's letter, she mentioned that she wants to expand her business. Good thing you're an expert at saving and balancing budgets. Click on the store computer to take a look at Mia's records from last month. This will help us see how her store is doing.
All right, so when running a business, it's going to have to be some spreadsheets involved for accounting. You got to know how much you're bringing in, how much you're selling, and you need to keep track of your costs, your expenses.
This is the spreadsheet where Mia keeps a record of the money she earns from sales and the money she spends on monthly expenses. Drag each header to the correct area on the spreadsheet to learn more.
So this over here on the left, right? So it's a pet store. So Mia's selling things like food and treats, other pet supplies. So whatever Mia sells, that is called revenue. So any of the money that a business is bringing.
Revenue is the amount of money that the shop makes from sales each month. This amount changes based on whether sales are up or down.
And over here, these are, we've discussed this, I believe, last time. I know it's been like 3 weeks or so, but these are things that are very repetitive. Like these are fixed expenses. These expenses are like we can expect them every single month. They're not going to change in amount, at least not month to month, maybe year to year.
There are certain expenses Mia can expect to pay each month, like rent or her employees' salaries. These are called fixed expenses because the amounts typically do not change from month to month.
So yeah, as a business owner, you have to pay your employees. So that does have to get subtracted from your revenue, from the money that you're bringing in. Utilities would be like paying for electricity, water, heat, like gas. And this is, you actually have to buy the things that you're going to sell. And this is for the building. Usually you have to rent the building out. Now these are other expenses. These are other deductions, but they're not regular. You buy the opening banner one time. You're not buying it every week. Maybe you spend $350 on newspaper ads. That's so funny. On ads for 1 month, but not every month. So this is something that can change from month to month. So we call these variable expenses.
Variable expenses are unique expenses that may change each month. This month, Mia purchased a banner and newspaper ad. A grand opening banner is a one-time purchase that she will not have to make again, and the amount she spends on newspaper ads may change from month to month.
Yeah, exactly. So right here on the right, here's our revenue. So we brought in 10,000 in sales, 10,000 from sales. We have 9,000 in fixed expenses. So expenses we can expect every month. And then we had 850 extra from the variable expense. So this is good. The fact that we're bringing in more money than our expenses, that is a good thing. Now you can see that even though we're bringing in $10,000 of sales, our profit is actually very small. Okay, so if our revenue is larger than our expenses, then we're going to have a profit, and that's good. That means that we can use that money to grow the business in the future. We do not want to be losing money. That can put us in a dire situation long term. So right now, we do have a
This is the amount of money that Mia has left over each month after she has paid her expenses. Mia subtracts her expenses from her revenue to figure out.
So, like I said, there will be some math here. So, I can obviously assist here. So we're just going to take the revenue number, 10,000, and we're going to subtract 9,850. And so in doing so, we should get $150. So we have a positive.
Mia earned a profit
value
last month. That means she earned more in revenue than she spent on expenses. If this number was negative, it would mean that she lost money.
Right. We don't want that.
At first glance, it seems like Mia has a lot of revenue coming in, but her expenses are high too. Just because she's earning a lot of revenue doesn't necessarily mean she's making a lot of profit. Now, take a look at Mia's expected expenses for this month. See if you can calculate whether she will be losing or gaining money.
All right. So we can do this one together.
Start by adding up her total expenses. This includes her fixed and variable expenses.
So our revenue did not change. We still brought in $10,000. But how much is our total expenses when we add 9,000 and 1,100? So you're welcome to comment in the chat if you want. If it's a little long, that I'll probably just kind of answer here. But we're actually given some choices here. So yes, sounds like someone was going to speak. So 9,000 plus 1,000 would be 10,000. And then adding an extra 100 would be 10,100. So that's how much our expenses
That's right.
are.
Mia's total expenses are $10,100 this month. Now figure out whether Mia's store will have a profit or loss for the month. You can do this by subtracting total expenses from total revenue.
So is this a good month or a bad month for Mia? We just made 150, but here, right? So we take our revenue and we subtract expenses. So you see how our expenses number is larger than our revenue number. It means that we're going to get a negative number. So Mia lost some money. So let's take a look at some of the things she had. Unfortunately, things are going to break in a business. So these variable expenses are going to increase sometimes and decrease sometimes. So some in-store signage, some overtime that seemed to cost a lot of money. A shelf must have broken. Okay.
That's right.
Lose money.
This month, Mia's net income is projecting to be negative, since she is planning to spend more on expenses than she will earn in revenue. A negative net income is referred to as a loss. Mia earned a profit last month and is projecting to have a loss this month. If we can help Mia build her customer base, maybe we can increase her revenue so she can make a profit every month.
So if we can't really minimize our expenses too much, right? We don't have a ton of control or power over how much we're paying for rent. Someone else controls that. If they're good employees, right? We want to keep them around. So we want to make sure that we're paying them a competitive wage. We're going to have to use utilities somewhat, right? There's some ways to decrease those somewhat. And if we want to sell more, we're going to have to buy more. Or at least make sure that we're selling as much as possible of what we are buying. We don't want things to go bad over time. So there's kind of two ways that we can increase our profit, is either to shrink our expenses, decrease our expenses, or increase our revenue. So we're going to be trying to expand our customer base, maybe reach some different customers that we haven't reached before. And we may try some things today that may work, and maybe some things don't work. And that's all kind of part of it. Sometimes you don't know the outcome of certain things that you try, and that's okay.
Right now, Mia is paying for most of these bills out of her checking account. Mia, would you mind showing us your online account so we can see how it works?
Sure. See my current balance? That's the amount of money I have in my checking account. Checking accounts are great because they let me easily access my money.
All right. So I know we brought up checking account when we were talking about debit versus credit. So if you remember that your checking account or your debit card essentially accesses your checking account. And this is how it would look online. If you log into your account, you'll see older purchases or deposits here in the bottom, and more recent ones here at the top. So you can see that buying a lot of cat food and dog food, insurance, here's electricity. This could be for the business. Here's that newspaper advertisement. But this is the total amount of money that Mia still has in the checking account.
Whenever I get a bill, like for the store's rent, I can pay it directly from the checking account, either by making an online payment or by writing a check.
So this is her rent. So this is something that must be paid. So Mia needs to make sure that she has some flexibility in her checking account that she can readily spend for business expenses such as rent, salaries, etc. So we have enough money to pay.
Then this payment is subtracted from my checking account balance. With a checking account, there's no limit on how many times I can withdraw money. I have to keep track of my account balance, though. If I take out more money than what is in the account, I can be charged an overdraft fee.
Yes, I remember we mentioned this before. So if we were to withdraw another $2,000, well, we don't have $2,000. So we would incur a fee, because essentially the bank would be essentially kind of loaning us the money that we do not currently have yet, and they're going to make us pay for that, because we're essentially breaching an agreement between us and them.
Instead of letting that extra money sit in your checking account, there might be better accounts to keep this money in. You could be earning interest.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about interest today. That'll be a larger focus next week, but it's really, I think, exciting to learn about, especially at a young age.
With interest, the bank pays you for keeping your money with them.
So the way that banks make money is through loans. And so actually, a lot of the money that you have, they're not really relying, or they're not depending on you to try to withdraw all your money at once. So they actually kind of use your money to kind of loan to other people, a portion of it, a portion of everyone's really. And so that's really how they are able to make and make their own profits here. But there are some incentives that they do provide, because they're able to give out more loans if they have more people put in. use their service as a bank. So sometimes they will incentivize you with pretty small interest rates, but it is something. Okay, something is better than nothing. And so we'll kind of look at kind of three general options that we can have from a bank.
Seriously, that's how interest works. Let me show you. Start by depositing money into the different account types.
So we're going to put the same amount of money into each account.
Now, let's see what happens after a year passes.
So this will kind of give you a visual of the power of interest. So I'm just kind of slowly kind of slide this so we can kind of see. So you're probably noticing that the CD account is growing pretty quickly. We'll learn what CD means and the differences. Notice that our checking account is not changing. So we'll learn there's good things and bad things about checking. This is a really good CD. It's 15%. All right, let's learn.
Nothing. That $1,000 is still $1,000. That's because Mia's checking account does not pay interest.
So essentially, when you have money in the checking account, the bank kind of assumes that you need that money, more frequently. You're going to be spending that money. And so you need that money in there. So they're not going to use that money to kind of offer, other people loans because they expect that you're going to need it. So they're not going to incentivize you with interest, right?
After 1 year, Mia's savings of $1,000 is now $1,020. Her account balance grew without doing a thing. That's because this savings account earns interest.
So you've probably heard of a savings account. So this is a good place to put money that you don't need right away, or you don't think that you're going to need right away. You might be saving up for a larger expense. So it's kind of a safe place to put some money. We'll learn the good things and bad things of it. It's definitely a better place to put money that we don't need right away than a checking account. We don't want all of our money in a checking account because we want the best money that you can make is money that you're not having to really do anything for. So it's called passive income. And this is usually through interest. So we made $20 in 1 year, right? It doesn't sound like a lot initially, but $20 in 1 year for what? Just keeping it in a different account, something that's pretty easy to do.
With a certificate of deposit, also called a CD, you pick a length of time, called a term, for the bank to hold on to your money. The term can be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or even longer. Typically, the longer your CD term, the higher your interest rate.
Yeah, so CDs, they have a lot more restrictions on them. So you have to choose how much time you want this CD, and you can't break it. There would be penalties if you have to withdraw it. So if you decide to make a CD, you want to make sure that you don't think that you're going to need that money in the next 3 months, or that you don't need it in the next 6 months or a year, etc. But they do pay higher rates. And actually, right now, CD rates are pretty darn high, actually. So
now, let's see what happens if Mia tries to withdraw or take out money from these accounts.
So if we try to take our money out, checking account?
A checking account is designed to give you easy access to your money for daily purchases or bills. Mia can withdraw money from this account whenever she needs to.
Right. So there's no restrictions. with a checking account. We can easily deposit, withdraw money. The only thing is we can't withdraw more money than our account balance. Here, that's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Savings accounts aren't designed for multiple withdrawals. Many savings accounts have strict limits on how many times you can take out money each month.
So this is true. So it does reset every month, but we'll kind of look at, you have to keep a minimum amount of money in a savings account at your bank. And you know, these things vary bank to bank, but you are limited on withdrawals. It's usually, I think, around 5 or so, 3 to 5. And so what that means is you're not really supposed to use the savings account for spending. But what you can do is you can transfer money from savings back into the checking account at any time. So that's kind of how the system works. If you have a lot of money in your checking, you know, maybe put some in your savings. But then if you're like, well, I'm going to need some money back in my checking to spend, then you can just transfer it. And it's pretty easy now with, you know, things being online and everybody having an app.
Putting money in a CD means you have less access to it than you would with a checking or savings account. You must keep the money in the CD for the entire term, or you will have to pay a penalty. When you put money into an interest-bearing account, like a savings account or CD, it's like you're loaning money to the bank. The bank in return will pay you for loaning the money. This payment is called interest.
That's exactly right.
A little bit of extra money for doing nothing? I'm in. Let's head over to my bank now to see what savings accounts they offer.
This is Mia's bank. Click on her bank representative to get started opening a savings account.
A savings account is a great way to save and earn interest on your money. There are a couple different savings account options that the bank offers. Take a look and let me know if you have any questions. Which account has the higher interest rate?
So each of these, so we'll look at compounding as later on. So, but if we're comparing these top two, the one with the higher interest rate is just this one because it has the higher number here. So this one, account one, definitely.
That's right. A higher interest rate means Mia's money will grow more each month. Which account has the higher minimum balance?
The extreme saver, we must always keep at least $200 in the account. If we get below that minimum balance, we can incur a penalty. So, you know, probably shouldn't be an issue, but it is something that, you know, you have to kind of keep in mind. But account number two, there's no minimum balance. So you could have $5 in there and there wouldn't be any penalty for you. So look at these withdrawals here. Well, let me click the higher minimum balance.
The minimum balance is the amount of money Mia. Which account limits the number of withdrawals each month?
So the one on the right has 3, $10 fee, and the one on the left gives you 5. So a little bit more flexibility. The penalty is larger, but I'd say 5 withdrawals per month would be, I would say, uncommon. So maybe I'll choose this one because it has less.
That's actually a trick question. Both accounts limit the number of withdrawals you can make each month. Savings accounts are for just that, to save. That's why savings accounts typically charge fees for withdrawing your money too often. Checking accounts are a better option if you need to make frequent withdrawals, as they usually have no restrictions. Which savings account would you like to open?
All right, I'll give it up to you. Which one do we want Mia to open? Account 1 with the higher interest rate, but we get to incur a penalty if we fall below the minimum balance. Or does that minimum balance scare us? Should we stick to the 1%? What do you think? Account 1. I agree, Asma. Yeah, I think the 2%, I mean, geez. I will sadly say that no bank is going to be offering 2% for a savings account. I will break the bad news. I'm very sorry. Interest rates are pretty low. But I think it's worth having double the interest for something that's just going to require a little bit more discipline with your money. Keeping a balance of 200 really should not be much of an issue. If you're just kind of keeping track of how much you're having between your checking and savings. Thanks for the input, guys.
Great. In order to open your account, I will need your photo ID, social security number, and your initial deposit.
This could be a driver's license.
Photo IDs are typically not required when opening a student savings account.
So you guys, right, you don't have an ID, so you shouldn't need one.
Mia really shouldn't be carrying around her social security card. She should memorize the number so that she can keep her card at home in a safe place.
Right. Really don't want to lose that. It's very, very annoying to replace.
Mia's putting in an initial deposit of $1,000. This is the amount of money that was previously just sitting in her checking account.
Don't worry about your money, Mia. All deposit accounts in our bank are insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, for up to $250,000.
Yes.
This means if there are any problems at the bank, the FDIC will make sure you don't lose the money in your accounts.
So if the bank were to go out of business, or really anything that could happen where the bank couldn't pay you the money that you have, the federal government insures it up to $250,000. So it's something to provide you some security and feeling safe to use a bank.
Thanks, Mia. You're all set. Each month, you should try to make small deposits into your account. This will increase the amount of money you are earning interest on and help you reach your goal quicker.
So right now we have $500 in checking. We have $1,000 in savings. So we're going to, try to keep, money in the savings that we don't feel that we need to actively pay bills from the checking. But as a business owner, it's a little bit hard because we don't necessarily know how much profit or loss that we're going to have each month, right? Things are changing each month. So we are going to want to have a little bit of flexibility in case we have a few bad months in a row.
Now that Mia has a savings account, let's decide what she should save up for. In Mia's letter, she mentioned that she wants to expand her business. Help Mia pick out a new item that will attract more customers. Help Mia pick out an item that will attract customers to her pet store.
All right. So I don't think it matters too much. They're both the same price, but whatever one that you think sounds cooler. It's like a photo booth to take pictures with your pets. Do you think that'll bring in more customers? Or do you think engraving like dog tags and stuff? I assume that's about all you can do. I don't know. For this engraver machine, what do you think would be more attractive to customers? These are our only two options here. The dog tag thing. Oh, we got both. Ooh. Let's see. Miss Elaine, do you want to be the tiebreaker?
Let me see.
Or Helen?
Pictures with pets.
I think the photo magic.
Okay. All right. We'll go photo magic. We'll have another purchase later on.
Let's see how much Mia's money can grow over the course of the year.
All right. So this is where we're going to have, I think, a lot of repetitive kind of math stuff. But what we're trying to illustrate is how much that 2% of interest in our savings can slowly grow our money.
Here's the revenue and expenses for the month. Calculate whether Mia had a profit or loss.
So it looks slightly
Enter
different.
Mia's total profit or loss for the month in the box below. Then click Submit.
So it looks slightly different than before, but it's just like the spreadsheet. We brought in $9,550. We have our fixed cost of $9,000. And then we paid an extra $200 in newspaper ad. So we're going to consistently take this number, subtract our fixed expenses, and then subtract our variable expenses.
350.
Yeah, 350. Nice.
With this savings account, the bank calculates Mia's interest at the end of each month and then adds the interest back into her account. Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings account.
So our interest is, we get paid that interest every single month. So that means it compounds every month. So we're going to start and we're going to make $1.67 this month. Not too bad for doing nothing.
Click the button that shows Mia's profit or loss for the month.
So 9,250 minus 9,000, no extra expenses. So we got a profit of 250. So 9,250 minus 9,000. Nice.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings account.
All right, there's our
Drag Mia's profit
reliable
or loss for
interest.
the month to the circle on the left.
So a little bit less revenue, 9,100. That's just barely over our fixed expenses. And then an extra 200 from the newspaper ad. So we lost money here. We lost $100. So let's keep track at the checking.
Click the
Notice
button to
that
add this month's
the
earned
minus
interest to
100
Mia's
comes out of
savings
the
account.
business checking account. And here's our compounding interest.
Unfortunately, April showers brought a leaking roof. What should Mia do?
So things happen when you're running a business. Should we pay money to fix the roof, a more permanent solution? Or should we just kind of be like, hey, it'll go away. It's just one day that it's going to rain, and just try to collect the water with a bucket. What do you think? What do you think?
Fix it.
Yeah. So I think in a situation like this, right, we're not spending money on silly things. This is something that helps make the business more reliable here. So this is going to come out of our checking. So this is kind of what I was saying before is, you need a large enough amount of money in checking to kind of, have some wiggle room with expenses. As I said before, we could always transfer money from savings to checking if we needed to. So that does mean that we have to be closed for one day.
Move the slider to the correct profit or loss for this month.
So 9,360 minus 9,000 would be 350, or sorry, yeah, 360 minus 500. So we lost money because of the roof repair. So we would have gained money for the month if we didn't have the roof repair. But I think, I mean, it was going to rain again at another time. So it would have been just kind of delaying the problem here. So we lost $140 that month.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings account.
So you might notice that now we're getting $1.68 instead of $1.67. So although it's not a big increase, this is how compounding interest works. So before we were getting our interest rate times our initial 1,000, but now we have $1,005. And so that percent interest is actually, because it's now $5 more, is slightly more money. So this value is going to slowly, but it steadily will increase the more and more money that we have in our savings account. So it incentivizes us to have more money in our savings.
Mia's friend suggests starting a customer loyalty card. After 10 purchases of pet food, a customer receives the 11th for free. What should Mia do?
So a lot of local businesses kind of do this. You know, maybe you've been to an ice cream shop or something that has something like this. You get 10 of them and, you know, the 11th one is free. Do you think this is a good idea for her business? Do you think this will offer the loyalty card? I think it's worth a shot, right? So
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I know for me, it kind of keeps me wanting to come back. So Mia is trying to grow how many people are coming to the store. So it could bring in new customers. But one thing Mia knows is that if she doesn't try anything, nothing is really going to change. So she's going to have to take some risks at some points.
It cost Mia some money to create the cards, but she sees more of her customers buying their pet food exclusively from her shop.
That's good.
Enter Mia's total profit or loss for the month in the box below. Then click Submit.
So our revenue for the month increased a little bit. We did have that extra expense, but we did have a profit. So this is 950 minus 300, so 650 profit. I think that's our most so far.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings account. Click the button that shows Mia's profit or loss for the month.
So June was not a very good month, only 8,800. That is already less than our fixed expenses. And we don't have any other variable expenses, but we lost $200.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings account. The town fair is this month. Having a booth at the fair would be a great marketing opportunity for Mia, but it costs money for the booth and all the materials, like banners, flyers, and free samples of her homemade dog treats. What should Mia do?
So is it worth spending the money for the fair? Do you think we can maybe find some other people that, maybe aren't coming into our store? Or do you think it's not worth the risk spending? You could type in the chat if you'd like. Go 5, 4, 3, sign up for the booth. Okay. Yeah.
Although Mia has many people stop by the booth, they are mostly her existing customers. She doesn't see a big boost in sales.
So you never know when things like these are going to occur, right? We could have easily, attracted more people. So, some things hit, some things miss. It's just kind of
Drag
life.
Mia's profit or loss for the month to the circle on the left.
So 9,200 minus 9,000, so 200. Then we lost minus 300 because of the extra expense. So we did incur a loss of 100. So our checking is going to decrease.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings account.
All right.
Mia has been advertising in the newspaper. She is wondering whether online advertising might be more effective. What should Mia do?
I mean, who reads the newspaper? You guys probably, I don't know, maybe you've never used a newspaper. I don't know. But what do we think? Online ads? I mean, everybody is always online. It's pretty expensive, but so many more people could be using online. So I think it's better to use online than something like newspaper where fewer and fewer people are going to be reading each year.
Wow, Mia sees so many new faces come into her store this month.
So it was expensive, but might be worth the risk.
Move the slider to the correct profit or loss for this month.
So look, this is our first time that we got over 10,000 revenue. It's pretty good. So 10,300 minus 9,000 would be 1,300. And then minus the 500 we put in. That's 800. That's pretty good.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings account.
So now we're over 2,000 checking. And see, now our interest has grown to $1.69.
Enter Mia's total profit or loss for the month in the box below. Then click Submit.
9,500 minus 9,000, that's 500. Minus 300, so that's 200. So a smaller, but was still a profit.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's. Cold and flu season has gotten the best of Mia. She won't be able to go to the store until she gets better. What should Mia do?
So everybody gets sick. I know a lot of people are getting sick this time of year. So, Mia can pay her employees more. So like overtime, or she can just close the store and just not have anybody come in all day or until she gets better. We don't know if it's, a couple days. So could incentivize pay money for employees to be able to run the store without her, or just kind of close the store. Wow, Kingston, I would like to hear your perspective on closing. I get the expense part, but Kingston, think about one of your favorite stores. Think about how they have hours listed. Would you feel sad if a store that you wanted to go to was closed and you didn't know the reason why? Would that maybe make you lose trust in the store? Yeah. So that's one thing that I'm thinking about is, maybe that would lose some faith in our customer base, that we're not as reliable. So I'm going to recommend probably paying our employees to kind of prevent, customers leaving us and going to another store. Because if my store is not open, I'll probably just go to another store, maybe that's a little bit further away or something, to get whatever pet supplies that they need for that day.
Business was booming this weekend. Because the store could stay open, Mia saw a boost in revenue that covered her employees' wages.
That's good.
Click the button that shows Mia's profit or loss for the month.
So it cost us $500, but we ended up having a profit. So 850 minus 500, 350.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings. Drag Mia's profit or loss for the month to the circle on the left.
So we had to buy more name tags for our machine. No, wait, we did photo booths. So these must be like employee name tags or something. 300, 9,300 minus 9,000. So 300 minus 300. We broke even. So our checking account's not going to change.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings. Move the slider to the correct profit or loss for this month.
So 9,100 minus 9,000 is just 100.
Click the button to add this month's earned interest to Mia's savings account.
Up to $1.70.
A year has flown by so quickly. Take a look at Mia's monthly profits and losses over the last year.
So it's good to be retrospective sometimes. You know, we tend to do this in December before the next year. Businesses sometimes don't always do January to December. They might do March to March. So every business is a little bit different. But it's good to kind of keep track of things so you know if you're kind of improving or not. And you can think of explain certain reasons why June is bad for business here. So you can see as a business owner, it does fluctuate, right? There's some great months like May and August, but there's some months like April and June that weren't so great. So we need to be flexible with our money to kind of prepare for those bad months.
Great job so far. With some smart choices, you helped Mia grow her customer base and helped her save enough to purchase her first store upgrade. Head over to the pet store to see how the new addition looks.
Mayor, it's so good to see you. Take a look at the new equipment. Customers have been lining up to use it. Thank you so much for your help.
Good.
Now that I know how to make my money grow, I've been thinking about what I can add to that empty area over there.
Help Mia pick out an item that will attract customers to her pet store.
So we have much more money in our checking account now. So we can afford something that's more expensive. Possibly something more expensive could bring in more people. So we could open up our business to fish, or we could kind of set up a side business, I guess, of grooming. So that could be like cutting nails, clipping hair, shampooing, etc. I think both of these are good options. I'll go with the grooming station since you suggested that, Ozma.
Mia's received a new message from her bank.
Okay.
Dear Mia, it's been a year since you opened your savings account. I'd like you to come to the bank at your earliest convenience so we can review how your savings account worked out for you this year.
Come on, Mayor. Let's head over to the bank to meet with my representative.
Hi, thanks for coming over so quickly. I wanted to show you how much interest Mia earned over the course of the year. Take a look.
So this is, if you kind of get like a year-end kind of summary. And so look right here. This means that our interest compounds monthly rather than yearly. So yearly, if we started with 1,000 and it was 2% yearly, we would have 2% more, 2% of 1,000, which would be $20. We had $20 extra. But notice that we have $20.19. It's a little bit larger. And so remember how we saw the our numbers, or actually you can see here, right? It's like 167, 168, 168, 169. So it was compounding. It was taking 2% of this value each month. And so as this number started to grow, this number started to grow. And so kind of the more frequently the money compounds, the quicker it is going to grow. So that's how we were able to get more money.
Not bad. Mia earned interest over the year for doing absolutely nothing other than leaving her money with the bank.
Actually, that interest amount is slightly higher than I expected. Why is that?
That's a great question, Mia. Annie, can you explain?
Here's Mia's original estimate for interest and what she actually earned. Why are they slightly different? Click on each to find out. In Mia's original estimate, she assumed that her interest would be calculated once at the end of the year. This is called simple interest.
Right, so if it was just 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and then after 12 months, they say, all right, here's 2% more, here's 2% interest of your 1,000, which would be $20. That would be something that only compounds one time in a year. But with Mia's, it compounded at the end of each month.
Mia's interest was actually calculated at the end of each month and then was added back into her account. This is called compound interest. Mia's interest was compounded monthly. The more often your interest is compounded, the faster it grows.
There is one other thing I wanted to share with you. We reviewed what happened when Mia did nothing with the money she put into her savings account. Let's see what happens if she adds some of her profit each month to her savings. Take a look. Let's see what happens over time if she adds just $100 each month to her account.
So this is what that 2% rate, and this is in years. So this is a long time, right? So that is one thing that we'll continue to see, that interest is really powerful. You may not see it in the short term, but over a lot of time, it can be really drastic. So this is if she contributes $100 each month. So that's one, she's putting in $1,200 each year. So 1,000, so think like 1,000 plus 1,200, and then plus the interest, what would be 2,233. You can kind of see it's kind of steadily increase here. So we'll kind of review at the end. Starts to grow and grow and grow. So you can see that it grows, you know, at a faster rate here. So in 10 years, right? 10 years, that's an easy amount of time. In 10 years, Mia would have contributed $12,000. So 1,000 plus 12,000 is $13,000. So in 10 years' time, Mia would have made about $1,515 in just interest from doing nothing. So it can, you know, add up. And this is with a pretty small interest value. We're going to try to look for ways to get higher interest values so that these growths can be even larger.
If Mia combines regular savings, compounded interest, and time, it can make a big difference to the amount of money she'll have. That's something to keep in mind. There are other accounts we offer that earn even higher interest rates. Let me show you. In addition to a savings account, our bank offers another interest-bearing account. It's called a certificate of deposit, or CD for short. With a CD, you pick a length of time that the bank will hold onto your money. This length of time is called a term. At our bank, we have CDs with a term of 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or even longer. Take a look at each to compare the differences. Start by depositing money into the CDs with the different terms. Now, let's see what happens after a year passes.
So this 3-month CD, we're going to accrue interest for the first 3 months, but then it's matured. It would have, you know, it's not going to accrue interest past 3 months. It's just going to stop. Same thing with 6 and 1 year. So one thing that we'll kind of see is we're not quite yet to 3 months, but you can see that the one that requires you to put away your money for longer is going to pay better than the one that, is shorter. So, pros and cons to each of them. So after 3 months, this one no longer grows. Only the 6 months in the year. After 6 months, one does not grow anymore. Only the 12 months.
This CD offers the lowest interest rate since you'll have more frequent access to your money. Your CD term will be up every 3 months, and you'll have the choice to roll over your money into a new CD if you want. Since this CD means you have less access to your money than the 3-month CD, the bank will pay you a higher interest rate, so your money will grow more over a full year. With this term, you won't have access to your money for a full year, but typically the longer your CD term, the higher your interest rate, which means you'll wind up making more money over time. Now, let's see what happens if Mia tries to withdraw or take out money from these accounts. But putting money in a CD means you have less access to it than you would with a checking or savings account. If you pull the money out before the full term is up, you will have to pay a penalty.
So that is the big balance that we have to figure out.
Unlike checking accounts, CDs are not meant for frequent withdrawals. You'll have to leave your money in the CD for the entire term, or you will pay a penalty. With longer-term CDs like this one, make sure you don't need this money in the short term. That way you won't have to. Remember, when you put money into an interest-bearing account like a savings account or a CD, it's like you're loaning money to the bank. The bank in return will pay you for loaning the money. This payment is called interest. And keep using your savings account. You will still be earning interest on your savings and can make small monthly deposits into that account every month. With this information in mind, adjust the slider to the CD term you'd like to choose.
All right. We want a shorter 3-month CD. So we're going to kind of do this for a few months or so, maybe a year. I don't remember. So 3%, 4%, 5%. So balance of how much access does Mia need to her money? So we're not gonna we're gonna take this 1,000, I think, from our checking. So we're still gonna have money in our savings. Osmo wants to kind of split the difference here with the 6 months. Seems pretty right. Trying to find the balance of keeping money away for six months here to get some growth. We'll probably just go with that unless Kingston has any other opinion. So do that.
This CD earns a slightly higher interest rate than the 3-month CD since the bank will hold on to your money for longer. After 6 months, you can roll your money into a new CD if you choose.
So we took 1,000 out of checking and now we have this in the CD. So we cannot use this until the CD matures.
In year 1, Mia's customer base has grown, but so have expenses. Remember, revenue is the amount of money that the store makes from sales. As you can see, Mia's monthly revenue has increased. The new equipment she purchased will bring in new and repeat customers to her store, which will cause her sales to go up.
So that's good.
Mia's revenue isn't the only thing increasing. Take a look at the lease amount, salaries, and product costs. They've gone up too.
So this is unfortunate reality. Probably heard your parents talk about the next topic here a lot in the last 6 months to a year.
A rise in the cost of rent and inventory can be linked to inflation. This is when the price of goods or services increases, which means your money doesn't buy as much.
It's basically the value of the money that you have slowly usually slowly decreases in value. So how much the value of $1, essentially what you can purchase with $1, or each dollar does slowly kind of get weaker and weaker usually each year. It's usually pretty low, usually about 1.5% to 2%, but it's been very different in the last yearish. But I will not scare you.
As mayor, it's important for you to know about inflation, since rising prices affects the entire town. You might notice that inflation contains the word inflate in it. That's because inflation is when the price of goods and services increases or inflates. The most common way that inflation is measured is by looking at the prices of the things we most commonly spend money on, like bread, gas, or clothing. These items are lumped into what economists call a market basket, and the price of this market basket is tracked over time. Let's take a look at how inflation has affected prices of different items in the US during the last century. Notice how the price of potatoes actually went down between 1929 and 1941. This is the opposite of inflation and is called deflation.
So this is during World War I. Here, from here to here, we had a Great Depression between then. From here to here, we have like World War II. We had a lot of growth here in the United States. A lot of people driving cars here. Let's look at butter.
Butter has experienced inflation over time. In 1910, its price was only 38 cents per pound. With more people buying cars in the 1950s, gasoline was added to the typical market basket. The price in 1951 of a gallon of gas was only 29 cents per gallon. Compare that to over $2 per gallon in 2016.
So to be honest, $2 per gallon, it's not really even close to that anymore, right? You're probably seeing $3.50 to $4 or so. I know kind of near me, that's usually what it is. But in last March, I think, or this March, I think we hit $5 for a little bit, which was a little scary.
A typical movie ticket in the 1950s cost only 73 cents. Compare that to $8.34 in 2015. Over time, a dollar bought you less.
Yeah.
Inflation affects what's called the purchasing power of currency. As you can see, over time, the amount of food or other goods you can get for a dollar changes. With inflation, you can't buy as much for $1. This means the purchasing power of the dollar has gone down. That's why some people say a dollar doesn't go as far as it used to.
So this is one reason why what we're gonna talk about next week is that this is why we're not gonna want to keep all of our money in checking account, because over time, the value of those dollars in the checking account will slowly decrease, right? How much you can purchase with those dollars. So that's why we're going to want to look for other ways to grow our money, through using interest, like things like CD. In the real world, honestly, a savings account doesn't do a whole lot. But we're going to be kind of trying to fight inflation, trying to make sure that we're making more money with our interest accounts than what we're kind of losing through inflation, if you understand.
Mia should keep inflation in mind when planning out the store's future finances. She can adjust the price of her items.
Let's make sure we go.
Now that we have Mia's account set up, her store upgrade picked out, and her monthly budget set, here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings account.
So I'm looking at the time. So I might just kind of speed through these a little bit. We're just going to kind of illustrate how much money is increasing from our CD. So revenue is really high. This is already our profit loss. We have 2,400 in checking. That's a lot. I think, maybe let's set a target to kind of always keep, maybe $1,000 in checking. Let's try to treat that. So I'll put 1410.
Notice that Mia earned more interest on her CD than on her savings account. Remember, that's because the CD has a higher interest rate.
So not exactly, actually. We do have a higher interest rate in our CD, but we have more money in our savings account. So we actually did earn more in our savings. So unfortunately with the CD, now that we have more money, we can't add money to it. So not only can you not withdraw money from it, but you can't add money to it. But having the 1,000 in the CD is better than having the 1,000 in the savings account by far.
Remember, the more profit Mia regularly contributes to her savings account, the more money she'll be earning interest on.
So I'm going to put 1,400. That keeps that 1,000.
Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her accounts this month. Here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings account.
All right, that'll keep us at 1,000.
Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her accounts this month.
So you can see that this is really starting to increase, right? Because we're having a lot more money in there.
The store is doing very well this year. Mia could use more help staffing the store. What should Mia do?
So obviously hiring someone costs money, but that could kind of give us more flexibility, running different hours, making sure our other employees don't get too tired. So it could allow us to kind of continue to grow the store. So I'm going to say let's hire the employee. I think we're having healthy profits.
Sure, an additional employee here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings account.
So even with the new employee, we made a profit of 2,100. It's pretty good.
Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her accounts this month. Mia just found out that the supplier has discontinued her most popular bird food. What should Mia do?
All right, this one's a little harder, right? So our most popular product is now discontinued from the supplier that we had a relationship with. So a lot of people depend on this product. It's very popular. Should we try to find a new supplier that's going to cost us more money, or should we just kind of abandon this popular brand that the people kind of recognize? So yeah, I would say find a new supplier. People are very attached to their brands. Once they start to find something that they like, right? You probably buy the same type of toothpaste or same type of shampoo or cereal. It doesn't really matter. Once you kind of get attached, you kind of like to stick to that thing. You don't want change. So and I think we're doing well enough. It's worth it.
Mia keeps the current food on the shelf. Here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings account.
So let's keep doing.
Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her accounts this month. Would you like to roll over your CD into a new one?
So we gained $16.78 in 6 months. We have 6 more months. So we can kind of roll it over, and basically it's going to incur interest on the 1,016. So I say yes, why not?
Here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings account.
Keep doing the max.
Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her accounts this. Here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings. Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her accounts this month. Mia's customers have asked about her store website. Right now, she doesn't have one.
I'm going to go with the new website. I know we're with time here, but websites, the ease of getting moving around is going to help people find what they are looking to buy more easily.
Mia has to pay for the new website, but once it's done, she sees a lot of new faces come into the store. Here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings account. Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her accounts this month. Here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings account. Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her account. Here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings account. Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her accounts this month.
In her savings account.
A specialty organic dog food store just opened in town.
So although the specialty dog food is expensive, we kind of want to compete with this new store. Don't want to lose market share.
Specialty dog and cat food is expensive. Mia spent more money this month to stock this new food, but only a few customers buy it. Here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into her savings account. Here's the amount of interest Mia earned on her accounts this month. A snowstorm is forecasted to sweep through town in the next couple days.
I'm going to close, right? We live in an area, we know that, we don't want any of our employees getting injured or anything.
The snowstorm is bigger than everyone thought. The town completely shuts down during. Here's Mia's profit for the month. Decide how much Mia should put into. Here's the amount of interest. Mia had quite the year. Take a look at her end-of-year account summary to see how she did.
So we started making more and more money, the more money that we had in. I mean, look, we have $20,000 in savings. That's pretty amazing. We were making pretty healthy profits each month, and we were putting that into an account that kept making even more money in it. That's what you want to do.
Looks like Mia has saved up quite a bit this year.
Thank you, Mayor, for showing me how to grow my money. Not only have I increased my savings, looks like forget-me-not.
I couldn't have done it better.
Right.
You speak to a business owner.
Let's do these 10 questions, then we'll. Oh. Well, maybe not. Maybe I went too fast. But there's supposed to be like multiple choice questions here, but it is late. So I will show you something that you can do in another time here. So have any of you ever watched the show Shark Tank? This could be something that maybe you could do in the library. It could be pretty fun. So, trying to think about, what personal skills, talents do you have? And, kind of a thought exercise. Are there any businesses that your small, your town or city needs? Maybe there's a type of food that your, town doesn't offer. Maybe they don't have like Vietnamese food or something, and you see an area there. How much money do you need? So this is kind of like a good thinking exercise, how to make a business plan and what is a business plan. So this is something that an investor who is someone who would give you money would want. So they're going to want like a timeline of the list of goals that you want to achieve, and when you expect or hope to achieve those goals, the plan, the action steps that you're going to take. And so those are things that investors are going to see before they want to give you their money to help the business grow. So yeah, if you've seen Shark Tank, that's kind of what they're doing, right? They're pitching product that they invented or something to try to grow. These are kind of some starter kind of things that you could think about. maybe you had a lemonade stand as a kid, doing yard work, working on a web page for someone, pet sitting, delivering service. I guess you would have to use a bike right now. Selling used clothes. I actually know a few people who do this, and they do pretty all right, just as a side thing. So it doesn't, whenever you make a business or something, it doesn't have to be, the only thing you do. It could just be a little bit of what you do, a repair service. So electronics basically always break. So you see a lot of phone repair places, screen repair, because people drop their phones all the time. And here, it'll kind of show you, it's like a worksheet kind of here. So you can kind of make your own, how much money are you seeking from the shark? What percentage of your business are you willing to kind of give up, right? So if Mark Cuban, who's on the show, if you give him 20% of your company, then he's obligated to get 20% of your profits. So those are kind of things that you kind of have to weigh out. And so anyway, I will send this to Miss Elaine or someone, and you can work on that if you'd like.